Ghosh sir, what do you think about captaincy? First test we lost, and this is a mountain to climb already. 301 run lead, even if they add 50 or even if they don't add a 50, I think this match and series is gone because they really need to battle their skin to kind of challenge New Zealand. So, what do you make of Rohit's captaincy in this series particularly? मतलब क्या कुछ गलती चल रहा है क्या वहां पे?
No, see, Rohit made a mistake in the first steps, but he was honest enough to admit it on national television, in the press conferences, which I think is a great thing because Indian captains, don't generally admit their mistakes. But he was honest enough to admit it, which is a good thing. But the fact is that it was a mistake. See, what happened is that in Bangalore, we played an away test at home. Bangalore turned out to be when the conditions were like Wellington, we batted, and when the conditions became much easier, they batted, and we did not have the stomach for a fight, to handle out, to battle out those conditions and then move ahead. See, we generally go and when we analyze things, we go by centuries, averages, strike rates. But another important aspect of a good cricketer, which we should also factor in when discussing somebody's quality, is whether he's a tough player or a soft player. There is differences between hundreds and 50s. 100 after somebody has scored 300, when you come into bat for 300 for 2 and then you get 100, the 100 will be there on record. But it does not mean as much as when there's a saying in English that there is nothing special in being the captain when the sea is quiet. It is only when the sea is tumultuous, when there's a storm brewing, that the captain comes to life. And that goes not only with the captain himself, but also with the batters and the bowlers. So how did we bat? How did each of our players bat when the situation was difficult? And in our case, we saw that nobody really put up his hand. Today, three of our batsmen, we generally see that the New Zealanders are excellent fielders. They never drop catches or something. Today they dropped 3 catches. Today they dropped, they dropped 2 catches. Sarfaraz got a life and Rishabh got a life. In spite of getting a life, they did not go on to score a big thing. Jadeja also got a life because he was caught, but he did a brilliant, his acting was as good as an Oscar-winning performance. And he got away with it because New Zealand also did not go for the DRS and the umpire also didn't. So he also got a life. Yet, despite that, none of them, could take the score forward. So, there are so many areas which we need to look into in this. And yes, Rohit's captaincy, as you asked, it has left to be much to be desired. But the point is that it is this time, if you see, when there are so many loopholes, in your batting, and when your best bowlers, they don't perform up to standards. Then anyway, your hands are tied. And to that extent, Nitin is absolutely right. His hands are tied. Today, say, when we are already 100, just because they had 100 runs lead, New Zealand had the confidence to go out and attack. And but our problem is that 269 was not a very big score. So why did we bat so defensively? And that was our problem. You see, we batted defensively when we know very well that our defense is not Gavaskar-like. We are not Mohinder Amarnaths. We are not Rahul Dravids. So you should play to your strength, play your shots. You can do that. But you cannot be Gavaskar one day and Sehwag the other. You have to choose your models.
What do you make of Rohit, Nitin? I know you have been like a bit soft on him, saying that we have been playing catch up for the first 2 tests. But did you feel that there was a lot left out there as far as captaincy was concerned, and he could have been a bit more aggressive? I know he has won the World Cup. He has taken us to a World Cup final. He's as good as the team. I completely agree with those points. But जब आप पीछे लगे हुए हो तभी आपका लीडर अंदर का निकल के आता है कि आप उन सिचुएशंस के अंदर गेम कैसे बना सकते हो. हाँ, रन बैटिंग को करने अकेला वो रन नहीं कर सकता, विकेट नहीं ले सकता, बट स्टिल proactiveness was probably the need of the hour when New Zealand came out to bat in the second innings, because I think जब वो breezy start हुआ उसके बाद से the shoulders started dropping and they were like expecting things to happen from the pitch rather than trying to make things happen. That was my personal opinion.
he also
Anyone?
looked a little laid back. He also looked a little laid back, where he's like, okay, Chalta, like you said, okay, let's see what the pitch can do rather than what the team is doing. Field setting, especially in the close cordon, I think could have been more
Yeah.
aggressive. I mean, you could have, like you were taking risks with your shot. I think you should have tried it while bowling with your field setting as well.
The
Nitin.
commented.
Nitin, your
Sorry.
thoughts, please.
Yeah, yeah, she's right there because if you see how Ben Stokes kind of captains, he'll place two mid wickets,
Yeah.
he'll place a short cover or whatever. He did that. I think there was a catch which Shubman Gill missed yesterday, which just went over his head. But I think what we saw was um, Ashwin and Washington Sundar first over, new batsman. He had long on, long off back, which allowed the
Precisely.
singles to go
Yeah.
through, which I think you would not see in early. Maybe that is a result of a lot of white ball captaincy where you need people in run saving positions. But I think here what has happened is he's almost been shell shocked because India is not used, or at least he hasn't played in teams in India which have been dominated. India have been dominated in both these test matches, and
out
he has
outthought
and
outthought and
outthought,
outplayed.
outplayed.
Yeah.
And he hasn't been able to come out with a counter.
Yeah.
He's just been shell shocked, and I think we should now probably. I know it's a bit of a harsh comment, or I hope that I'm making a premature comment. I hope so as an Indian cricket fan, but I think we are close to coming to an end of a cycle. Where we've been a dominant side for a very long time at home. But I think a lot of people now are reaching the end of their careers, and maybe it's a blessing in disguise if we do not qualify for World Test Championships, so that we
Yeah.
can build a newer team for the next cycle.
See, because of IPL, we seem to have lost a bit of that home advantage thing, because all the players, see, they are acclimatized in India. Obviously, T20 is different from Test cricket, but the whole thing, of going to a new country and playing there, adjusting to the conditions, that part has now taken out. All see, look at the guys who are successful, the three most successful guys in this Test match, huh? Uh, in this series, Ravindra, Conway, and Santner. All three are CSK boys. Ah, so actually, yesterday we were, people quoted on the social media also that actually, three outsiders were performing for CSK, and there were two Chennai boys. So it was largely a Chennai show, Chennai boys and CSK boys, that kind of a thing. My point is that we have lost that home advantage primarily also because of IPL. See, when we will go to Australia, huh, see, we are not playing Big Bash or anything
Yeah.
outside. So for us, it is a new pitch. You adjusted to it. This time, for instance, when we go there, they have put us in Perth, and they have
Yeah.
put us day night game. So two most difficult tests will be up right up front. Before we acclimatize, we will be under under huge pressure to perform in those tests. But when New Zealanders come here, they are there. This is like their sort of backyard. This is their most familiar ground after their after their own country.
Yeah.
So that is one point I wanted to make, and also and another point I wanted to say, that as Nitin also said, there is a bit of sort of elephant in the room kind of thing, with some of our players, players who are so big that we cannot discuss them anymore. But sooner or later, that thing has to be discussed,
Yeah.
because uh, uh, you know uh, the most difficult thing for a team is what to do with a player who cannot be dropped. you know when a player who is very good, and who's a great player, but who stops regularly underperforming, you cannot drop him, or it is difficult to drop him. So what do you do with that player? Because that player
Don't
is
keep
part of,
him.
yeah. So that is the one of the problems that we have with this team, I think.
I think the beauty of doing the show is that we, unlike those problems, we are free to discuss anything and everything.